Hey guys, Anthony Tackett again. A few days ago I uploaded a video of me processing a piece of walnut from a large slab that a friend had given me. Now I already put one coat of a Danish oil on it, and I figured I would take you guys along with me and show you what I do in between coats, and we'll go ahead and apply that second coat together. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have a makeshift table set up outside of my driveway. I have two sawhorses, the piece of masonite on top, some cardboard to protect the masonite, and I have a few tools out that I'd like to go over with you guys really quickly. The first is a set of bench cookies by Rockler. These things are great to get the work up off of your bench if you're sanding, painting, staining, whatever. The second thing I'd like to call out are these bench cookie cones, also made by Rockler. These snap right on top of the bench cookies and elevate your workpiece even further, and it's only suspended on this fine point, so that makes staining and painting a breeze. I also have a microfiber cloth for wiping off dust and things before I apply the second coat. I have a piece of 4/0 steel wool, my DeWalt random orbital sander with some 220 grit sandpaper that I will very lightly use, a cotton cloth, and of course my Danish oil. This is the piece of walnut that we processed the other day. Every time I look at it, I fall even more in love with it. It's got a beautiful grain pattern. I love the sapwood coming in here on the edges. I didn't highlight this in the video, but I left a natural edge on the face. I love the cracks and the character you see in that. So I'm super excited. This is actually going to be a floating shelf in my newly finished basement. Let's go ahead and sand this, and we'll go ahead and get a second coat of Danish oil on it. Just as a quick overview of what I plan to do, I'm going to take my random orbital sander with the 220 grit and lightly scuff up the surface. When you put a first coat of a finish on, it often raises the grain and it leaves a little bit of a grit on the surface. Taking the sander and then the 4/0 steel wool will knock that down so that I can put a second coat on and it'll be nice and smooth. So let's go ahead and start sanding. Now I'm going to take this 4/0 steel wool and go over that really lightly. What that's going to do is give me an even finer finish, and we have to be careful when we're using steel wool because sometimes the fiber will catch on a piece of the grain in the wood. So we need to be careful to not leave any fibers behind, so that's why we have a microfiber cloth that we're going to wipe the whole thing down with before we add our finish. The next thing I'm going to do, now that I've removed my workpiece from the bench cookies, is go ahead and install these bench cookie cones, and that'll elevate the workpiece even further so that I can apply the oil finish on both sides without having to worry about waiting in between coats. These just snap right on the top of the cookie, and I'll go ahead and install that on all four. Again, I'm using a fine cotton cloth, and this can be an old t-shirt or anything like that. We want something that's not going to leave a lot of fibers behind, and it's a good way to get rid of old clothes. So I'll shake up the Danish oil and start applying the finish. Okay, it's really as easy as that. So what I'll be doing now is I'll go ahead and take a extra piece of cotton cloth and just wipe off the excess oil. Again, this is going to be a floating shelf in my newly finished basement. I'm really excited. I'm going to be using black iron pipe as the base and the bracket for the shelf, and I think it'll really set off the room. So I'll go ahead and wipe that down, and I'll talk to you guys next time.